you know about Association of Indian Management Schools? It's a 34-year-old networking body of B schools in India, having a membership of about 600 top management institutions. AIMS focuses on professionalization of management education, protects interests of B schools, represents management institutions at national and international forums, financially supports members in academic events, funds research projects on management, disseminates management-related knowledge through its annual Management Education Convention, conferences, seminars, roundtables and workshops, organizes free weekly webinars on knowledge sharing and inspiring young leaders sessions for management faculty and students, supports B schools in admissions through Atma, AIMS test for management admissions. Visit https://atmaims.com for more details. Publishes a biannual AIMS Journal of Management. Visit https://aimsjournal.com for more details. Circulates a quarterly e-newsletter on AIMS activities. Conducts workshops on case writing. Encourages AIMS members to be part of decision-making processes as members of chapter management committees and the executive board. Encourages students' participation in free weekly quiz competitions by providing support to interested institutions. Facilitates networking and interaction among B schools. Why would you like to remain a non-member of AIMS? Pay a very low one-time membership fee and enjoy many lifetime benefits. Visit https://aims.org.in for more details.
A very good afternoon to each one of you present in the session. So let's begin the session by introducing our speaker for the day for the session, Dr. Sweta Banerjee. Ma'am, welcome to the session. I take this opportunity to introduce you to all our participants.
Thank you.
Dr. Sweta Banerjee is an accomplished MBA graduate from Guwahati University. She is MCOM, MPhil, PhD holder in stress management and job satisfaction from Siyangar University, Rajasthan. She is a certified trainer from Thomas International for personal profile analyst, certified transactional analysis practitioner, associate practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, certified in positive psychology from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Coursera. Ma'am has been awarded with the best teacher in HRM and OB from ICFI University for 3 years. Presently, she is the professor of OB and HRM and deputy director at Sri Balaji University, Balaji Institute of Management and Human Resource Development, Sri Balaji University, Pune. Ma'am has published more than 30 research papers in national and international journals and also has been awarded with the Best Paper Award in International Conference. Ma'am has wrote several books on organizational behavior, employee efficiency, research fellow with CIBTA, James Cook University, Australia. I again take this opportunity to welcome you, ma'am, and myself, Priyanka Pandita. I will be the moderator for the session, and I am Assistant Professor, Sri Balaji University, Pune. So before we start with our session, let me take this again, 2 instructions that are for our dear participants. So the instruction 1 is participants cannot be able to unmute themselves. If they have a question, they can put it in the Zoom chat box and we will take that questions in Q&A session. Second is feedback and attendance link will be shared in the Q&A session and is available for 15 minutes. I'm repeating again. Feedback and attendance will be shared in Q&A session and is available for 15 minutes. Certificates will be issued to those who submit the feedback form. So, ma'am, let's begin today's session. The session is all yours, and thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. We'll start off with understanding emotional resilience, a threshold competency in the workplace. So let's get started. And I myself started this resilience research since 2021, going through some kind of upheaval adversity in my personal life. And that got me interested in understanding what is resilience quotient all about. So long we have been understanding emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. But then I got to understand that resilience is a very important trait, and we all possess that. So as I decided that as human beings, we all have to be mentally fit as much as we have to be physically fit. So someone like me has got interest, and it became a main quest in my life to work out how we can take the best of this scientific research findings out of the academia and bring to all the people in everyday life. And may I tell you that it is a very inspiring place to be. So we all rise from adversity. There are strategies that work. It is utterly possible to make oneself think and act in certain ways that help us to navigate tough times. And there is monumental research as how we can all do this. So with that, let's go to understand emotional resilience, a threshold competency at the workplace. So my outline of the talk would be just very minimal skills at this point of time to get back, help us get back on course when adversity strikes. And by the word adversity, it might be in a continuum from 1 to 10. And we have to also think about this, that we are talking about workplace adversity, but there is always a spillover. So sometimes adversity in the workplace or some kind of challenges in the workplace, we bring back in our personal lives. And similarly, in our personal lives, whenever there is some kind of obstacle hurdles, we bring back to the workplace. So there is actually the line is blurred. And little skills that we can in this conversation and discussions that we would have to help you learn and grow from stressors and challenges that we confront in day-to-day life. My objective would be definitely that we are all faculty members, most of us are, and also students. So to find out what might happen in the workplace that we have, which are called stressors or challengers, and how do we build our resilience. So how to build resilience is one thing, that it is bouncing back in difficult times. So it is the ability to spring back into shape. So it should not be that we are lying low. We might spiral down to a very low condition for even a small thing or a big thing that has happened. And small and big thing are all situational and very customized according to our problems. So it is not that a small thing for me might be a big thing for you. It is always possible. So we have to understand that we cannot demean somebody who is saying that he or she is having a problem, just even it might be that small that it is just a conversation going wrong, or we started off a conversation in the wrong foot with our bosses. So it can be that small, or it can be bigger adversities like layoffs. So these are some of the situations that a faculty member in an educational institution might face that require emotional resilience. And we also talk about some of the students, if they are the participants in this talk, that require emotional resilience. So these are just the top of the mind recall of some of the things that might happen to us in an educational institution. So we can all understand that departmental conflicts or, funding and grant rejections can also be a very big thing for me. But for some, it might be a very small thing. It's okay. This fund did not come, or this project I did not get. It is okay. But for some, it might really spiral down to a very big low. So it might be high workload during either examination. So we all have faced this many a times in our work life. Difficult parent-teacher meetings, it might be work-life balance. So these are certain conditions and situations that faculty members or teachers in an educational institute face on a day-to-day basis. Similarly, from the student's point of view, it is academic pressure, dealing with difficult teachers at times, career uncertainty, placements, conflict with friends, peer pressure, financial stress. So all these are accumulative of some of the things that might happen in the workplace, and we know there might be hundreds. So now we understand that these situations can be very, very emotionally challenging for faculty members in any educational institutions, and we have to develop certain kind of resilience. It is essential to navigate these challenges effectively to maintain that positivity and the productive working environment. And also, the teachers should be in ally with each other to understand what the problems are and how we can solve them. And to tell you that, resilience is a trait. So all of us in some degree or the other would have it. It is only how we get to know, how we try to refurbish them from time to time in order to understand them better. So it is not elusive. So we have to understand that it is not elusive to anybody. Any kind of problems might, come to us in the workplace, and we all know that. Similarly, for faculty members, we also have the students who in the education institutions who should develop emotional resilience. This equips students with, again, challenges, navigating challenges, maintain mental health, and also try to understand how we are going to supersede ourselves in, academically, succeed in their academic pursuits. So some of the names, I'll just, again, this is just random names that just popped up in my mind to understand that they are famous, that they have done a lot in life, that they have been, made a mark in whichever field they are. Do these names ring a bell? We talk about Dhirubhai Ambani, we talk about Ratan Tata, we talk about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, J.K. Rowling. So if we just go a little bit to understand their cases, we all know that they have all gone through many, many hurdles and challenges in life. And they had shown the world that, yes, they shone out from those hurdles. So what is that trait that has enabled them to supersede others, where somebody would be having the same problem but will not be able to come out of it? So we have to just understand that resilience is a very apt subject, especially after COVID, that we are fighting it out day and night. As I have just shared my experience of a very inner circle in my life, that 3 people in my life had just in 3 consecutive months had gone away. So what did I do? That I'll share later. Now, this is scenario 1. What would, in this scenario, a person whose, say, resilient quotient is a little high, then someone whose score is low would do? So, scenario 1 is you get off on the wrong foot with a new coworker. They ask you for help responding to a customer inquiry, but you refuse to lend a hand because you are working on a tight deadline. So nobody is right or wrong. This is what the situation is, and don't want to waste time. So there has been a tension between the two ever since. And now you need their help on a project, but they are not vying, or they are not being very responsive. So how do you respond? So just a second to reflect as what would we do? So it is just a very simplistic phenomenon that happens every day in our life, in the workplace. But then what could a person with a little more resilience than the other act? How would he or she respond? So now if you see this is a probable solution or a response. So just go and own it. Find an appropriate time. So here we see that conversation is the key. Anybody who would like to enhance their resilient quotient would have to have their conversations and communication to the pro. So we need to understand that communication is the key here. So just own it that, yes, there was a problem. Let me go up. Let me take an appropriate time, walk up to them and say and understand that, yes, we have gone off on a wrong foot. And we have got one single word. Words have got a lot of power. So one single word is very, very significant here is sorry, or the apologies for that. So while I'm, trying to resolve X, Y, Z, whichever problem, can we have a conversation about that? So regardless of who the conflict is with, it might be an employee, it might be your boss, it might be your spouse, it might be your friend, it might be your relative, whoever it is, they'll think more highly of you if you demonstrate self-awareness, that you got to know that you have understood that, yes, things have gone wrong on my behalf in the first place. So that we have started up in the wrong foot was from my behalf. So the conversation may be very awkward, and we have to all understand that these are difficult conversations. These are difficult communication. And it is very important that, how do we try to start a difficult conversation or difficult communication? So however difficult it is, let us go and own it. So the conversation may be awkward, but that's, better than a tense relationship that could last for years, all because I have or you have started off that entire thing and it started out, So this is one probable solution to a very simplistic situation in the workplace that we keep on having all the time. So with this, let us understand what resilience is. So some of the definition of resilience, I'll just put up about 2-3 definitions, which talks about the abilities to anticipate, reducing the impact, coping, recovering from effects of adversity. Now, the word adversity might seem very huge, but we all have to understand what might be an adversity for you may not be the same for me. These are just difficult conversations. These are just difficult obstacles, hurdles in an organization. So it is not just the immediate ability to respond to negative events, but rather a positive adaptation during, before, and after the adversity. So this is given by the British Red Cross. So what is resilience? It is the ability to know where, how, and when to use your energies to improve things and how to recruit help in that endeavor. So this is given by, taken this from a research paper by Daniel B. So this is a little earlier on, 2013. But a lot of, it's a monumental research on resilience that's going on for ages. But of late, I have started my research on resilience. And pro-COVID, I've seen that, post-COVID, I've seen that people are working on it in a great way. So what is resilience? Once again, it is the ability to be successful, both personally and professionally. As I have reiterated, that it is though in the workplace, but the line is very blurred. And there is always a spillover effect in the midst of a high-pressured, fast-paced, and continuously changing environment. So resilience is important because it keeps us on track until we reach our goals. It is with difficult situation, and it helps us to grow by encouraging us to look at the positive side of whatever situation. And a very big thing is managing stress. So another situation, if we have to imagine that we have been working on a report for several weeks, we are very pleased with what we have produced. And you can't wait to hear what your boss thinks. Many a times it happens. However, the next day, when you meet or she meets and discuss that work, what does your boss say? She asks you to rewrite the report. I'll bet you would be disappointed. Of course, you would be disappointed. But what do you do then? Do you sit down and despair, again spiraling down to some kind of blues, or you start drafting the next version? So this is what talks about how we build up, as I've been repeatedly telling, and a lot of research papers has also significantly discussed that it is a trait. It is a fixed trait. And it is not elusive that some people has it and some doesn't. It is not like this, but it just requires very ordinary processes in order to build up that quotient. So I'll just give you a quiz. This might take about 4 to 5 minutes to just understand. This is also taken, it's a reliable and a validated scale, which has been given by, I'll just you have to just go through. There are 16 questions, and this has been, you have to understand that it's in the Likert scale 1 to 5 by Professor Carrie Cooper, Professor of Organizational Psychology and Health at Manchester University. And it is from the book, Building Resilience for Success. So it's a very simplistic question. So these are the 16 questions. You can just, put from 1 to 5, from strongly disagree to strongly agree, to understand what is your resilience score. So I'll quickly go through. It's just a very short questionnaire with only 16 questions, and it's pretty straightforward. So you have to understand that your lowest will be 16, 1 to 5 is the score, and the highest will be 80. So that's the score. So I'll just scroll it, and think it would be taking you about maximum 3 minutes. Participants, you can just write your score from 1 to 5. So from strongly disagree to strongly agree. I'll just scroll it once again if anybody has missed, to quickly have a glimpse about the first page. So we have about 12 questions here, and the next is 4 questions here. So would be glad if you could say that some of you have already finished. If some of you have already finished doing it, then I'll just go to the score. So once more, I'm just showing you. I'll go a little slow, and then this is a validated and a reliable scale from the book. So we can all also read the book, Building Resilience for Success. So this is how the questionnaire is, and these are the 16 questions. So minimum you get is 16, and the highest you get is 80. So from strongly disagree to strongly agree, 1 to 5 Likert scale. So now let's get into the score. So these are the score interpretation. From 16 to 37, if you count your score, then you have little resilience in the workplace. And this may affect your ability to do your job. So that's how they have told about the scoring pattern. So however, don't let this get the better of you. And definitely you can take action. And perhaps your confidence is shaky, or you have a negative outlook. So maybe you don't have effective strategies to cope with stress, or you are trying to deal with issues that are beyond your control. So 16 to 37 is a score where you have little resilience in the workplace. No score is good or bad, just to test our resilience quotient. 38 to 59, you are not easily defeated, but there's still plenty of room for improvement. Perhaps perhaps you need strong goals to focus on your efforts, or maybe you have to address the strength of your working relationships, that is your team dynamics. And you also may need to build your skills in just one or two areas. So 60 to 80 is well done. And you are a resilient team member and you're prepared to keep trying until you succeed. So you most likely have a solid network of colleagues who you can rely on for support and you deal effectively. So the entire questionnaire is divided into these 4 elements. So question number 1, 3, 9, and 16 talks about confidence. So these are all factors that lead to our resilient quotient. So how resilient are you? So confidence is 1, 3, 9, and 16. So if you have, I'll just again once browse through the questionnaire, you can quickly see once what are the questions which talks about your confidence. Then we have something 4, 8, 11, and 14 talks about your social support. So Cooper explains that social support is about building good relationships in the workplace, and so that you have got a strong ally. So anything goes wrong, it is you own up your conversations, and you can always rely on your friends in the workplace. Then this is adaptability, which talks about your personality traits. You don't self-sabotage yourself. You are fear of uncertainty of change doesn't bog you down. And how do you manage stress? And this is purposefulness. So anything you do at your workplace, are you passionate about? And does it give a sense of purpose? So 5, 6, 10, and 13 relates to purposefulness. Adaptability is 2, 7, 12, and 15. Social support is 4, 8, 11, and 14. 1, 3, 9, and 16 are confidence. I'll put this questionnaire in the chat box. After we finish, you can take it at leisure also and test your resilient quotient. That would be great. And this is a scale from the book by Gilfin Taylor and Michael Pern. So thank you so much. We'll go back to, I'll unshare and then share my slides. So we had talked about the definitions given by different authors about what resilience is, both from research paper and books. And we have also taken the quiz. So we get a fair idea about what are we discussing in understanding resilience in the workplace. A threshold competency. So is it a competency? Yes, it is. So it is taken as a lot of research studies are being done as when we are trying to map competencies, resilience is also one of the traits. So these are some of the challenges to resilience. Again, I'll just go to this slide a little later as we have some problem with hyperlink. So we'll come back to this to understand that it is we are not only discussing about faculty members and students, we also talk about what in general can be workplace hurdles that we face, or what are the challenges and obstacles or stressors which we can call in the workplace. And so again, coming back to, we would be having 2 things which we would be discussing. And in it's a whole workshop actually for 1 or 2 days, but we would be just touching upon it and understanding the skills which helps you to get back on course and when adversity strikes. So wherever it is in your personal lives or in the workplace, wherever, however, we are going to bounce back. And also skills to help you learn and grow from the stressors and challenges that we confront. So with several things are there. And out of that, I'll be only touching upon one factor, that is optimism. A lot of research has been done between understanding what does an optimist do in any kind of workplace. So, whenever we have negative emotions, either in personal lives or in workplace, what do we do? So resilient people know that, bad things can happen. So this is one thing we all have to, and it is, adversities do not discriminate. It can happen to anyone, any point of time. So this we have to, and they also know that suffering is a part of life. So it might be variable. So they don't actually we don't welcome it in, but we are not delusional about it, that it can never happen to me. It is happening only with somebody else. And it is a part of our human existence. So negative emotions or can sometimes makes us negative. Now, what does an optimist do? What do you mean by optimism? So I follow him. He is known as the father of positive psychology, and he is Martin Seligman. And if anybody is from the psychology or from organizational behavior HR background, would not go by not knowing him. So he talked a lot about hope or being an optimist. How does it help us? So he had done a study in 2005 with his colleagues. So Martin Seligman has done a study with his colleagues in 2005, and it was a longitudinal study amongst people. So it was many people that he went and interviewed and asked that randomly during the day, what are the three things that in the top of your mind comes, which are good things that has happened. So it was very difficult for some people to, understand what are those three things which has happened good to me in the daytime. And for some people, it was very easy. So top of the mind recall, they could easily say that these are the three good things that has happened to me. So he kept on doing this for 6 months. And then he also has stretched it to 1 year. And he had seen that all the people who had not taken, who on a snapshot could easily recall three things which were good for them. They were much happier. They were very, very optimistic about life, and they were less stressed. So he was a psychologist, so you can understand that his measurement about all this were also very specific and profound. So with that, he had written many books, as you can understand that he's the father of positive psychology. One is Learned Helplessness. Sometimes it happens to us, negative emotions are like Velcro. It sticks to us. So if there are two things which has happened to us, say one morning you get out and you see a rainbow, and, on the other hand, you see an accident, you will see that the positive part, that you had a great day and there was a rainbow and there are so many different good things, would not stick around you much rather than that accident and the bloodshed and the kind of stuff. So whole day we keep on having, it's like a Velcro, as I'm saying, it sticks on to us. And positive emotions are like, Teflon. It comes, it bounces away. So as humans, we are very good at noticing weaknesses and threats. And we are hardwired for negatives. So that's why learned helplessness is a similar kind of a philosophy that he tried to say, that, we tend to stick on to negatives a lot. So this is also from an evolutionary perspective, that fight or flight response that we have, that, if you imagine yourself going in, being a caveman, and you come out of the cave and there is something good, that is flowers blooming, and there is a tiger in front of you, definitely you would be thinking how to save yourself. So negative emotions are like this. And that's why this resilient quotient keeps on oscillating between sometimes being very high for us and sometimes also becomes less. So how to become an optimist? I'll just take one factor to understand that being optimist can also raise our bar about being how resilient we are. So see beauty in every little thing, do the work, which is, you make it possible to do the work, always believe it is possible, always have an attitude of I can do it, seek solutions and focus on what you can control. So this is another 2 books on optimism. And this is one factor which most of the authors who are talking about resilience have given a lot of stress, as how we are going to enhance our bar of resilience is by being optimistic. So this is another, scale which talks about life orientation test. So this is also given by, these are just 2 questions given by the researchers, Dr. Carver and Scher, talked about dispositional optimism. That means how many times in life are we dispose or we show that we are optimist. It is not that we fake, but in general, if you ask that in uncertain times, these are the 2 from 1 to 10. So this is a self-taken questionnaire or test that you have to take. That means uncertain times, I expect the best. So do you? like in what category are you doing it? And I rarely count on good things happening to me. So these are the two things which can also give you a little idea about ranging from 1 to the least and 10 to the highest as where we are. So we'll quickly now wrap up in some time. Just give me about 5 to 8 minutes to talk about. So this is one concept which is going on for a long time. So can we resilient people, even if there are a lot of things happening around, can when they are really going for a vacation or they're really having their holidaying, can we become JOMOs? So FOMOs and JOMOs have become a very important buzzword for all workplaces these days, so that we are stuck to so many things in life that we are unable to get out. So the joy of missing out, can we do it? So it's not all the time, definitely, but feeling content with staying in and participating in self-care. So this is what. And one thing we cannot give a backseat is deliberate breathing. So breathing exercises reduces anxiety. Lot of proofs are there. These are the books which I have taken and I have also done. So I have just kept these books in front of you to understand that what deep breathing is all about, and it reduces anxiety. It might be a small thing also, but just try this. It many of you might be practicing, obviously, but some who do not believe in it, just put a little faith and you can do this. So breath is our life force. And whenever our mind becomes scattered or cluttered, your breath takes hold of your mind again. So this is what we were talking about. What is mindfulness? It is not only about sitting and meditating and deep breathing for years altogether, whatever we are doing. So this is a practice which is very important for us to build on our resilience. So these are the benefits. So whatever we are doing, so even if they're saying that you're eating food, are we 100% eating food, or our mind is scattered here and there? Next what? We keep on looking at our reports and eating. So these are the different things which they talk about in mindfulness. So anybody who practices breathing exercises, deep breathing or mindfulness, this is again research which has been done, and it reported that we have your anxiety drops by 50%, depression and anger drop by about a third, vigor increases by 20%. So you're more, you're more energetic to do a lot of work. Fatigue decreases by about the same amount, and something that is instrument measures a confusion, which is kind of not just having a sense of what you're doing, what's next. It also, that means we know our priority, we know our urgency of our work. So that is the clarity of that is there in the mind. So how can we build resilience? So biologically, some people are predisposed to being resilient. So as I told earlier on also, it is a fixed trait. So it also is in a continuum. We have to only practice. So it is not elusive, and it is not that it requires very ordinary processes as we are discussing. So the good news is that resilience is not a binary quality that people either have or do not have. It involves our attitude, our beliefs, which are learned and developed. So have a good night's sleep, exercise and breathing. So these are a lot of things that takes us to understanding lifestyle choices. So are we putting our effort into alcohol and other things, or we are going into understanding what is exercise, nutrition, relaxation is all about. So this is another model that I had just taken from DSLA et al. That is in 2013. What are the fuel for our resilience, or how to build our resilience. So whenever these are some of the tips for developing resilience, we have to keep a rational mindset, get a mentor or a coach, learn from blind spots. We all know that we all have our blind spots. So we should be a pro at understanding what our weaknesses are, what our strengths are, taking control, managing stress. And last but not the least in this category is add a little humor to our lives. So these are certain research papers which I have consulted, and I'm still consulting because I'm doing research on resilience, emotional resilience as in the academic part. And these are some more research papers which has been consulted in understanding what emotional resilience is. And as a threshold competency is what is more important. Can we take this and measure the competency mapping a trait or a factor? So let's conclude this talk by understanding that think of resilience as similar to taking a raft trip down the river. So it's a journey, and we would be having rapids, turns, shallows, slow waters. So do we have a plan? Do we have a strategy? Does purposefulness of our work is in the top of the mind besides anything else that is going on in the organization? So perseverance and trust. And so we would be whitewater rafting if we have all done. Some of us would be doing that in the near future. So we would be knowing that it's fun and it gives us a lot of life lessons. So trusted companions are very important in the raft. You cannot go on a whitewater rafting without a team or without friends. So rapids, upstreams. And if you really wish to, then you can get down off the raft, go to the side, take a little rest, but you have to get onto the raft until the end of the journey. So get back in the raft and continue the journey. So these are, to sum up, that how are we going to understand resilience, emotional resilience. And it is a fixed trait, not that someone has it and someone do not. Everybody has it. It might be in that continuum from 1 to whatever, and in which levels we are. So 3 things to sum up in this, especially in the workplace: acceptance or acknowledgement of the situation that we are in. And we have to give. Number 2 is selective attention. Focus on things we can change and ignore what we can't. And always remember that we should be grateful for all the positives that's happening in and around us, both in our personal and in our professional life. And one is reflection. What am I doing to myself? Is it helpful? Is it harmful? If it is helpful, we keep on dwelling on that. As I repeatedly tells that we are akin because of our evolutionary perspective. We are akin to have that fight or flight response. So we try to have negative response stick onto us like a Velcro. So reflection, is it helpful or is it harmful? And with practice, we can all try to grow or develop the quotient. So thank you. Keep smiling and God bless.
Thank you, ma'am, so much for wonderfully explaining us the importance of emotional resilience at the workplace. So till I get questions from the participants, ma'am, I have one a question in my mind. How do you see emotional resilience evolving or becoming more critical in the context of remote or hybrid work arrangements? Because we keep on talking about remote working, virtual meetings, everything. So how do we take care of emotional resilience in such scenarios?
That's a very good question, ma'am. Because especially after all of us, including the academia, we have got a little idea about how we had worked. How we are remotely working also at times, work from home and stuff like that. It is difficult because at the end of the day, the proximity is geographical proximity becomes very important. Say, suppose we are having a tiff and I want to, break the ice. I want to talk to you and want to start a conversation. So virtually or over the phone or it would take a little bit of more because you don't see my gestures. And it is a human tendency to physically see people and understand that whether he or she is really apologetic or whether he or she can be convinced that things have gone very because of some misunderstanding between us. So the way it is a difficult question, but nevertheless, with the kind of work structure that we are in, mostly for many sectors, we have to build on this and understand that even your voice, the modulation, the way, can we really get to, be more sensitive to the way the person is talking. And I think that's how you build your resilience.
Yes, ma'am. Could connect to this, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So till I get questions, another question that popped up in my mind, can I please ask that?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Like, what strategies do you use to bounce back for the workplace conflicts, if that happens, or interpersonal challenges without compromising your emotional well-being?
Ma'am, the most important thing is that you have to gather yourself. So your perseverance, in order to, first is the clarity in your mind, whether I need things to straighten up or not. So first and foremost, if you have a tiff with your boss, it's very important that you have to straighten up. There are no two ways about it. So can I do without sorting things out, or do without sorting things out? So it's not a run-of-the-mill, a passenger that you met or acquaintance in the road. It is your boss, and you have to sort out. Now, the second thing is that the trust. So is it a trust factor? Or is it something which is a misunderstanding? So most of the time it happens that faith or the trust comes to our mind. These are the two things which are very important for converse. Difficult conversations are very difficult to converse. So it is the most difficult you will see in life also. Let it be. I'll talk some other time. Now I don't want to talk it out. So it's a natural tendency, that flight mode, that perspective. So you have to talk out whatever it happens. This is one mantra that I follow. Anything that happens with anybody, I pick up the phone and talk out and finish it off.
Yes. We really need to do that. That's the okay.
And that's a stronghold of a strong, resilient person.
Right, ma'am. So one of the questions from our participant is, they say that, how do you deal with anxiety in any stress situation while keeping our emotions in place with resilience? Shall I repeat, ma'am?
Yeah, definitely. Just repeat.
How do you deal with anxiety in any stress situation while keeping our emotions in place with resilience?
Ma'am, one thing is very important, that anxiety, to what level? Does it need interventions in the sense of therapy? Otherwise, we all normal. That's also a little bit of anxiety here and there makes our, biology stronger. We all know that. So you have to understand that what is the level of anxiety that you are going through. Is it for days altogether? Sometimes, these are all actually, as I was telling you, there are a lot of factors in resilience, and one is a mind trap. So we ourselves keep on spiraling on that mind trap. We weave a lot of stories. We are in the me trap at times. We are in the them trap at times. They are like that. They would be doing this to me. So we keep on having that. We are always in that trap. So anxiety to what level is very important. Little bit of anxiety here and there, which is tackled nowadays. The entire Indian knowledge system, or the IKS that NEP is talking about, only talks about all this. I think it is manageable. So we keep on doing it. And if it needs intervention, then we should be the first one to understand to what level the anxiety is. So it's not with breathing exercises that it can be controlled anymore. We need to go beyond. So please talk to somebody, talk to a friend, talk to a therapist, talk to a psychologist. And I'm 100% sure it's in a level where it can be tackled.
Yes, exactly. The next question is one of the participants, he wants to ask, how can he balance his personal and professional life? How can he plan the strategy for the same?
So the most important thing, sir or ma'am, whatever. The most important thing is that how much do you love doing what you're doing? So there is no balance. I would not say there is anything, there is no concept, at least what I can understand is the work-life balance. It is always tilted. So at times when our family needs, it has to tilt towards the family, because there is no two ways about it, that you can sacrifice whatever is needed, your presence being needed in the family, to vis-a-vis the workplace. Or then when it is needed in the workplace, you have to also understand that, yes, these are the things that are going on. I have to complete my project on time. I have to do this on time. I cannot. So balance is very difficult. And you have to prioritize what is my priority and what is my urgency. So it might happen that, at times that there is, you don't have people at home and you have to pick up your child from the, creche. And you have already discussed this with your boss, but your boss is also helpless because something has happened in the office and you have to stay back. So could you just put down your stuff and rush out of the office? That, I've been telling you this for days. Now, these 2 days are very crucial. I have to pick up the creche will close or the daycare center will close. So is there a balance there? Can you do that? Where your boss is, almost begging you to stay back because of something which is very urgent. So you see, there is an imbalance. So there is no work-life balance at that point of time. So what we do to sort this is very, very important. How do we do it?
Yes, exactly, ma'am. Another question is, it isn't easy for an individual to come out maybe from the pain or whatever he or she might have felt or the incidents. What are the ways that they can overcome? Can an organization be the part in the journey?
Absolutely, ma'am or sir, whoever has asked this question. Organizations are taking a lot, because a lot of research papers that I have gone through, and by this I would also like to say that one of my PhD scholar is also doing a study on exactly almost the same title, obviously a little different, on workplace resilience. And the organizations, many organizations, and he's from the IT sector, and we are doing it in the IT sector. The entire sample is from the IT sector. We see post-COVID, a lot of organizations are working a lot on resilience, and we have gone top notch, a notch higher than, as I told you, emotional intelligence, emotional quotient. We are talking about resilience now, how to toughen yourself in adversities. So, and wherein we can understand that, our personal lives and our work lives the line are becoming blurred. So that is how I'm saying a lot of organizations are doing a lot. So the entire concept of the FOMO JOMO has come from the workplace only.
Yes, ma'am. So keeping the time in constant, I'll be taking up the last question, ma'am.
Yes.
So the last question says, in today's rapidly changing work environments, how can organization actively foster and support the development of emotional resilience among their employees? And in continuation to this question, are these specific initiatives or strategies that you recommend for creating a workplace culture to encourage emotional resilience as a threshold competency? Shall I repeat?
Yes. I can understand that this is a little heavyweight question, and a lot of work is going on here. We are looking at a lot of organizations who are understanding that when we are losing that work-life balance kind of a concept, are working on understanding that when we have to work late hours, when we have to tackle with situations like deadlines, when we are talking about time, when we are talking about projects, when we are talking about customers, or we are talking about customer complaints, and so many different types of pressure that the workplace has. Many of the workplace are doing a lot of workshops on building that resilience. What you can control and what you can't. Can I make a shift? Can I make a decision about understanding that in every of this, certain things, like my angry boss, do I have any control over his anger? I don't have. How much it consumes me or how much it affects me is what I have control on. So we have to understand that in certain situations, for reasons that are good or reasons that are not good, he offshoots. He's an angry bird. So let's decide as how we are going to tackle that situation. His anger is not in my control, but I am in my control. So organizations are doing a lot, and this is one thing which I can tell you, because we are doing this research, and a lot of resilience as a competency has been worked up, and models have been developed. that can we treat this as a competency bring it under a competency factor or a parameter.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So as we approach towards the end of the session, I will propose vote of thanks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with the heart full of gratitude as we conclude our session on emotional resilience, a threshold competency at the workplace. It has been an incredibly insightful and valuable experience, and I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of the participants who were actively involved during the session. First and foremost, I want to express my sincere appreciation to Dr. Sweta Banerjee, our esteemed speaker for today. Ma'am, your in-depth knowledge, passion, and the way you articulated the intricacies of emotional intelligence has definitely left a lasting impression on all of us. I will also want to extend our gratitude to Mr. Sudhir Sharma, President AIMS, Dr. G.K. Shiride, Regional Vice President, West AIMS, and all board members, and lastly, to all the wonderful participants who were there in the session. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.